Perfectionism. According to Brown University, perfectionism refers to a set of self-defeating thoughts and behaviors aimed at reaching excessively high, unrealistic goals. Read the second half again. Aimed at reaching excessively high, unrealistic goals. Perfectionism is often mistakenly seen in our society and Western-influenced culture as desirable or even necessary for success. However, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, perfectionism may be hardwired in the nervous system. This inborn trait appears to influence the way a person, an individual, sees and processes the world. Also, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, this inborn trait is linked to anxiety and other mental health issues, such as obsessive compulsive disorder, otherwise known as OCD. Common signs of perfectionism: striving to meet excessively high, unrealistic standards. The need for order and neatness. Obsessive concern over mistakes. Sensitivity to criticism. And self-criticism as an ongoing behavior. So it makes sense that this is a top 12 highly sensitive entrepreneur and leader shadow. Inborn, connected to the nervous system, connected to anxiety, connected to signs or symptoms of attempt to control. Most importantly, how do we work with this highly sensitive shadow? We look at the highly sensitive shadow trait of perfectionism, all to support being able to more easily execute and take action on what you receive in your leadership track trainings, or any actions in your marketing, your selling, your business, your career, your life. So how do we work with the highly sensitive shadow of perfectionism? First of all, we recognize perfectionism is part of either or thinking. We recognize that perfectionism as part of either or thinking leads us to the same steps that we take to support ourselves in shifting from either or thinking into a both and mindset. Those steps being, 1, the IUK process, AUK. Remembering that transformation begins with awareness. So in the same way we spoke about in the either or versus both and mindset training, that awareness is that first step. The same applies to perfectionism. Just beginning to recognize, oh my gosh, I'm in either or thinking. Oh my gosh, this is probably contributing to an act of perfectionism or getting caught in the act of perfectionism. Second step, we then look to neutralize that energy. Same step, again, to shift from either or to both and. It's catching the perfectionism before it has the opportunity to go into procrastination or into self-judgment. And so we neutralize the energy. We diffuse any meaning the ego mind, the fear-based mind, might try to give to catching yourself in the act of perfectionism. We neutralize with hand on heart, bringing it 6 to 8 inches out in front of the heart chest area, moving the hand into a vertical position and using it almost as if it is a meter, finding that sweet spot where it feels completely centered. We then give the nervous system a command: correct, neutral, now. Giving us access to then step 3, which is to flip the switch. By accessing both and, we begin to release ourselves from the grip of perfectionism. It is the act of retraining the nervous system. The work that we do here in the Highly Sensitive Leadership Training Program is a retraining of the nervous system. That includes inborn traits such as perfectionism. How else do we work with perfectionism? We recognize that perfectionism can be triggered by comparison. So to support ourselves in unhooking that hook, releasing ourselves from the trigger of perfectionism, we turn to the teachings and the trainings. You can do that in regards to comparison by accessing page 68 in the book Different, the Highly Sensitive Leadership Revolution, page 68, write that down. You can also turn to the track training in your online learning center, revisiting the comparison chart, remembering as part of that training, comparison is both with self, past and future, just as much as it is comparison with others. From there, we recognize that perfectionism is the opposite of accepting the challenge. So again, to support ourselves in that remembering, we turn to the book Different, chapter 1, page 1. We also turn to the book Different and the Let Go, Let In chart and teaching found on page 115. And ultimately, we also recognize that perfectionism, again, is hardwired. So we deeply commit to rewiring, or again, retraining of the nervous system. How do you do that? You do that by committing to attend weekly training roundtables every single week consistently, including scheduling a plan B for yourself at any time, any week that you can't be here live. Commitment to consistently attending weekly training roundtables. You also commit to your track trainings on repeat. The retraining of a hardwired trait within the nervous system absolutely takes commitment to re-return and re-return again and re-return again. To fool yourself, to attend one weekly training roundtable here or there, to listen to a track training just once is going to support that rewiring, is to set yourself up for continued sabotage and a continued self-stop of the shadow of perfectionism. So we re-return and we re-return and we return. This commitment to the process of rewiring and retraining. The commitment alone reduces the highly sensitive shadow of overwhelm. Perfectionism, as an act of either or thinking, sets us up for the limiting belief of do or die, which automatically leads to overwhelm through a sense of self-generated pressure. Versus when you set yourself up with a schedule, such as commitment to attending these weekly training roundtables consistently, there then is a container that begins to form. And the nervous system begins to relax. That either or thinking that says, I have to do it all now, starts to relax with the understanding, as part of the IUK process, AUK, oh, there's a container of safety here. I am in process. And then again, the nervous system relaxes, begins to loosen the grip on either or thinking, begins to loosen the grip on perfectionism, and then begins to loosen the grip on the habit of overwhelm. All of this gives us greater access to the highly sensitive strength of empathy. It is nearly impossible to both be in perfectionistic thinking and behaving, and also in a space of empathetic thinking and behaving. Why is it important for us as highly sensitive entrepreneurs and leaders to have access to our strength of empathy? Well, I believe that author and researcher Daniel Pink says it best. He says, leadership is about empathy. It's about having the ability to relate and to connect with people for the purpose of inspiring and empowering their lives. One more time, leadership is about empathy. It's about having the ability to relate and to connect with people for the purpose of inspiring and empowering their lives. That equals highly sensitive entrepreneur and leader financial success. Breath in and let it out.